Hello and welcome to the New World Review, your source for everything anime and manga. And today, we're here to talk about Attack on Titan Season 3. Now in classic New World Review style, yes, I am late to this series, not Attack on Titan, but Season 3 specifically. And it's because I have a very strange relationship with Attack on Titan, because I watched the first series when it was airing, loved it, then tried the manga, and hated it, because the art really was not for me. Not bashing the art, just saying that it was something that I never grew accustomed to. And then I just forgot about it because there wasn't another anime for what, 4 years? And when Season 2 came out, I watched it and it was good, yeah, but I feel like it really lost that zing that originally caught me. And as a result, I took my sweet time with Season 3, but I have to say that as a result, I am incredibly pleasantly surprised. I sat down to watch it thinking that it was just time to do my duty as an anime fan, and then I just didn't stop. Season 3 really managed to recapture some of that morbid magic that the first anime outing had. And before we go any further, this is your spoiler warning. I am more than likely going to talk about very specific events, so bear that in mind. But first up, the thing that struck me the most is obviously the beautiful animation. Wit Studio is a pretty damn incredible group, as they continue to demonstrate with the ongoing Vinland Saga anime, which I'm also loving. But in this case, I am convinced that they have elevated Attack on Titan beyond anything the original manga could have dreamed. And once again, that's just my opinion. Like for example, when I did try to read the manga, I got up to the end of the first half of the season, with Eren being captured again, and all the Historia stuff. And in the manga, I vividly remember being bored whilst reading this, which is why afterwards I would have dropped it. And that clearly isn't a fault of the storytelling, but the presentation, because Season 3 of the anime takes the very same material and manages to keep me incredibly invested with stunning aesthetic storytelling. And in particular, I find myself captivated by pretty much any action scene in Season 3, but even in the slower moments, of which there are an abundance, especially in the first half, the art is just so schmick and sleek, and it's hard to describe, but it presents such an incredibly solid image. It's so easy to watch, and the anime takes advantage of lighting as well, crafting beautiful sunsets, terrifying darkness, and apocalyptic battle conditions. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that every shot in this series feels incredibly rich, as opposed to a more classic anime style, which can be very flat, and yeah, that works for a lot of shows, but I am glad that we're going a step further here. In terms of the visuals, one negative I will say is that I'm still not keen on the CGI whatsoever. So yes, I'm one of those people. Like the whole portion with the Colossal Titan, while amazing, was a bit iffy in the moments where CGI was used to bring it to life. It just looks super clunky, not natural at all, and most importantly, not threatening, because it looks like a university animated student's project. And yeah, that does not apply universally. There were some sequences where it did look alright, but that was primarily due to the camera work rather than the actual CGI itself. Just drop the CGI. It does not belong in this world, and it always somewhat breaks my immersion because it's such a stark contrast to the beautiful 2D art and animation on display otherwise. And you know what? In a series of lesser 2D quality, yeah, you could probably get away with this kind of CGI, but not Attack on Titan. But hey, at least it's not Berserk. Now I have to say that in retrospect, the thing I enjoyed most about Season 3 was finally getting some answers to the story rather than just obtaining more questions. I mean, yeah, mysteries are the spice of series like this, but they can only last so long, and I'm thrilled that we are finally getting into the meat of things, and some of the best and most heartbreaking episodes of Season 3 were the ones that focused on Grisha's memories. And of course I give full credit to the manga here, because this section of story was spectacular, and it gave me a whole new appreciation for Titans that I never thought I'd be capable of feeling. I mean, just watching these episodes made me feel absolutely enraged, and it was a massive punch in the gut, which was assisted by fantastic vocal performances, some wonderful twilight lighting at the site of paradise, and unbelievably emotive music, as well as very intentional moments of atmospheric silence that assist the intimacy of these scenes a lot. And also, just as a side note, wow, do I definitely hate Zeke as a result. So before all of this, I was pretty much indifferent to his existence as the Beast Titan. I mean, he was pretty terrifying and kind of cool, but his flashback actually makes me flashback to the point in this season where Levi had the chance to end him for good. And I understand why, narratively anyway, he couldn't die here, because Zeke ultimately holds some sort of importance to Eren, as they came from the same source of jizz, I guess. But I do feel like Attack on Titan is just full of these moments where victory is as simple as one tiny action, and then some sort of ridiculous mental block just stops it happening each time. In fact, the exact same thing went on to happen with Reiner when John prolonged his life, and then later broke down and yelled, "It's all my fault." And in that moment, I was just like, yes, it is all your fault. And I do get that the basic idea was to steal their powers, as well as having some complex thought behind it, like Levi wanting to save Erwin, and Jean just having feelings for a former comrade, but for God's sake. These Titans just killed almost 200 scouts, and they will inevitably cause such bloodshed again the next time you meet them in battle, so take the loss on the Titan powers and end it here. And that's actually why I was so glad that Bertolt actually had a conclusion, because there was a while there where it was taking an awfully long time for things to happen, and I thought he may have been able to escape as well. But instead, we got one of the greatest moments of the series when he was eaten by Titan Armin. And it's weird because, yeah, I did feel sorry for Bertolt, but then I remembered the staggering amount of people that he had mercilessly killed, and then, everything was okay. I'm also really glad that it happened because Attack on Titan has a really weird character dynamic. I find that they're either generally so squishy and expendable that they are literally made to die, or they're completely immortal and can never be killed no matter how bad a situation gets. And an example of characters like that would be Connie or Sasha. I love both of them, but the only reason they survived this season was because they are secondary protagonists. There were individuals far more skilled and experienced who were wiped out instantly, and it does get a bit plot armory to having to keep believe that, wow, of the 9 survivors, they all happened to be our main cast again. Except for one, which was actually a nice surprise. Good old Flock. But that's why it was nice to see that line get crossed by taking care of a major character like Bertolt. Even if he is an antagonist, because he did feel like one of those untouchable characters, so it introduced a brief period of expendability amongst the main cast. And we brought him up briefly before, but let's talk about Armin for a bit. This guy was the star of my favorite episode of the season, being Hero. The moment of Armin's sacrifice was so, for want of a better word, heroic. And I don't mean that in the traditional coming to the rescue kind of way, but in the this is everything I can do, and if it costs me my life, then that's fine kind of way. Of all of the main characters in this season, I feel like Armin stands out, and received by far the most growth. Although to be fair, I don't think he has a lot of competition. I mean, Mikasa, look, I honestly struggle to remember a single thing she did this season. For a primary protagonist, she spent a lot of time in the background or just quietly standing beside Eren. And as for Eren himself, I've honestly never cared for him, and I wasn't about to start now. He's just too intense for my liking. Always yelling in the early days and always crying and depressed in these days. And I get it, he's been through unimaginable experiences that would crumble the mind of any average person, but I get really bored when it's just him on screen, wallowing in his own pit of Eren feels. So I reckon, just make him a secondary protagonist, and let's promote Levi to main protagonist. And speaking of Levi, he was awesome as always. This character stole Attack on Titan the moment he was introduced, and as expected, he provides another phenomenal spectacle this season with a completely one-sided fight against the Beast Titan. And wow, I rewatched that scene like 7 times after the episode ended. It's so good! And his flashback was also done really well, because even though I knew it was going to happen, the anime still made me feel everything I needed to, which was a ton of sympathy, a little disgust, and a healthy serving of what the hell, this world is dark. And that goes for the entire series, really. I think it did everything it needed to do and more to provide a fantastic viewing experience in an incredibly immersive world driving ever forward towards its conclusion. And as a result, for the first time in a very long time, I'm actually looking forward to more Attack on Titan. So bring on season 4 in 2020. But that pretty much does it for my thoughts on Season 3 of Attack on Titan. If you enjoyed this video and the content this channel produces in general, then please do consider donating to the Grand Line Review Patreon, because the support of all of you amazing people is what continues to make this channel possible. And if Patreon isn't quite your style, then please do leave this video a like, share, or subscribe, because it also helps support the channel an incredible amount. And if you'd like to join the fun at any time, then please do head over to my Discord server, where a wide array of shenaniganry takes place on a daily basis. And finally, please do comment with your thoughts on Season 3 of Attack on Titan. This has been the New World Review, and I'll see you next time.